Hello everyone, this is Gina Minyard, and it's 12 o'clock on Thursday. So here we are on Facebook Live. Things seem to be working today, so that's great. I'm realizing I just want to adjust my camera a little bit. So if you're here and you want to say hello, I welcome your hellos. Nice to know who's here. And we'll just get started here shortly. Okay, I think that's more like where I want it. You don't really get a chance to preview your positioning. It just starts you right into it. Okay. So yes, welcome. And just, if you're watching live, great. And if you watch this later, so good to have you then as well. This is the last Thursday of May, so starting next week I'll have a different schedule once again in June. So just look for that. I'll post about that, of course. So today I want to talk about this concept of sovereignty, to be sovereign. So sovereign is a ruler over a dominion, a king or a queen of the land, right? And in yoga, of course, that means sovereign over your own experience, to be sovereign over your body, over your mind, over your heart. We hear about this sovereignty in the text of yoga, and it's in one of the more ancient paths of yoga called Raja Yoga. The word Raja means queen or king, a sovereign, right? And in the context of yoga, Raja Yoga meant mostly meditation, that the individual turned their attention back into source and came to know that unchanging, serene and resourceful, resilient place within themselves, and that was what they referenced. So self-reference, right? To be in reference to that and to themselves over whatever else might be pulling them around in life, right? And it's not that being sovereign in this way, doesn't mean that you're not affected by life, that you don't feel what's happening in life and have your full experience and even participate fully. But fundamentally, you're in reference to that. So that's a somewhat, high state, right? To be that man or woman of yoga, as the Bhagavad Gita describes it as, that is in total self-reference to themselves with a capital S, right? And so that's a high ideal. And then what does it mean, though, kind of in a more practical way? It's like, what do we do in asana? What are we practicing? So yes, there's a possibility of that kind of connection through asana, but I think realistically you're going to find that more through meditation. But what we do practice in asana is becoming sovereign over our bodies, which is no small thing, right? To have this full awareness of ourselves, how it comes together how we come together in an integrated way. Through that, of course, naturally there is a process of just by becoming self-referential, right? That's the gesture of yoga, to turn your attention back onto yourself, whether that's in meditation or any practice, so that includes asana, so that you begin to explore and therefore to reclaim all of yourself. We know that our asana practice, our physical postural practice is, yes, of course it's the body, but we're also moving energy. You can't help but feel and explore your psyche, what shows up in your mind and your heart. And even yoga brings you through a process of, sometimes we have things to work through in our minds and our hearts, so to become more, centered in what's true within that. And yoga, of course, assists that. Asana assists that tremendously. So this is a process. Hey, Andy, nice to see you. I was checking over here if you want to say hello. And, that's why I was looking at my screen while I'm talking here. So the yoga is a process, right, that brings us into greater sovereignty, physically, mentally, helps us to take care of ourselves, right? Even as, yes, we might be looking towards what is that sort of highest path of becoming sovereign. Like even the realized masters, for instance, from the tantric tradition were called Rajanikas. They were called queens, kings, effectively, of themselves. They actually carried that title, Rajanika. So again, sovereignty, and to even just have knowledge. Yes, Erica, me too. I'm so excited. Hey, Erica. So to have knowledge, right? Knowledge of how life works, how your body works, to work with yourself, to have knowledge and to have means, practices to navigate all of it. That's also a form of sovereignty, right? And we know how to take care of ourselves, even if our yoga practice is like, man, I'm feeling a little crazy, I want to feel better. You are in charge of that. You created that, right? You opened up to that, even though it's something that you're mostly really reclaiming, becoming sovereign of something that's already there within you, right? So to have these tools, hey Heather, yay! To have these tools to work with is a form of sovereignty. And yoga always speaks about how yoga is a process, right? The practices that we do. Yoga is what we do. And then yoga is also the states we come to, right? So yoga is a means to practice sovereignty, a process through which we move. And that's to become more sovereign. And it also then is the state, that sort of, and it's not just like some final perfect state, you made it, you're done, right? Along the way we arrive, and then we arrive some more, and we arrive some more. And ultimately there's this dignity. Sovereignty is really about the dignity of what is our own. What is the truth, and what is your own? The dark and the light, and holding your real experience in the sweetness of yourself is what it means to be sovereign, and to not give it away, right? To not assign it elsewhere, right? So we move through our practice. I'm going to give you obviously the specificities. That's what I do as a yoga teacher. I'm going to tell you what to do. We're going to have options to work through. We're going to have a line of teachers. So there's certain things we want to do, right? But you're in charge, right? You get to choose how that works for you and what's working best for you. We are not sovereign to the poses. The poses do not have dominion over us. We are using the poses to become more sovereign, right? So it's never about bending yourself into a place that you're not ready to be, right? And I say that because with working with Raja, right, we're going to naturally do some back bends because the poses in yoga that have that name, Raja. Raja Kapotasana is King Pigeon, or Ekapada Raja Kapotasana, King or Queen Pigeon, I like to say, one-legged Queen Pigeon. Then there's Natarajasana, which is dancer pose, queen of the dance. And all of these poses have preparatory stages and modifications, and mostly we're going to focus on becoming sovereign of our bodies, our spines, like how to work with integration, and just however far that goes. Yes, the sovereign does offer themselves, right? And a sovereign being offers themselves into life with a humility and a fullness, not holding back, right? So all of this and more. Thanks for listening. That's kind of a longer spiel than I typically give in class, but it's nice to have time to give a spiel these days. So take a good seat then. Sit well. Sitting on, I like to sit on a blanket. Some of you might do well to sit on 2 blankets, even a block or 2 blocks. You want to sit high enough, is the thing, to, oh, Lisa's here. Hey, Lisa. Good to see you. So sitting high enough to where when you sit, you can pull your sit bones more back. You sit a little more in front of your tailbone in a way that you're actually centered more in your pelvic floor. And this brings you into alignment through your center, through your spine, where you are always sovereign, your own deepest self. And so we line up our physical body and we can connect to that. It lines up the way our breath moves, our breath mechanism moves, right? And so tuning into that, sitting tall, and it's really regal not in some arrogant way. It's there's a fundamental dignity to your being. And then as we take our seat, we might be feeling all kinds of things. We might, who knows where we are in our current configuration in our bodies and our minds. But by taking this seat, you're bringing your attention back to yourself. It's this self-referential gesture that is the basis for all of yoga. And you're opening to what's deep within you. Breathing is a way of connecting deeper. The breath is so much of how we turn back to ourselves. And to tap into not just our presence, but even our own power that's there to move with. And so we'll move through the process, right? This is a journey. And one that allows us to reclaim who we are. So welcome a breath in. With the exhale, bring your hands to touch at the heart. And we'll open our practice together with one Om. Inhale fully. Bow your head to your heart. Lower your hands to your thighs. And lift your head, open your eyes. Alright, so come up to table pose. And if you have a set of blocks, great. We'll use this for sure. So come on up to table and take one of those blocks and place it between your upper thighs. Give it a good squeeze. It helps you to center yourself, to center into your midline, your spine, right, the very center of it all, the place of your physical center, energetic center, consciousness itself. Feel your breath also moving there. And with your next inhale, start to lift your tailbone, follow that wave through as you lift your heart, lift your head. Exhale, curl the tailbone under, tone your belly, round your back, flexing the spine. And again with the inhale, squeeze the block and start at the sit bones, the tailbone. With the inhale, lifting and follow that wave through, lift heart, lift head. Exhale, curl the tailbone under again and round your back. So a few times through, moving through these poses. Here as we round into cat pose, or what's called flexion of your spine. And as you inhale and lift, moving through what's called extension, where we move towards a back bend shape. So much to learn about our bodies. It's like we're not born with a user's manual, right? And yes, on just the level of physical, there's so much to discover and to reclaim, to become sovereign over, right? So we'll talk a lot about the spine today. Whether or not we get to deeper back bends, that depends on what you're ready for today. And from there we'll move and explore. That's where the sovereignty is. Not can you do a pose or can't you do a pose a certain way, always. So moving through these two kind of extreme ranges of motion, getting our bodies moving, our breath deepening. And after one more time, lift your tail, lift your head, moving into the cow, that inhale. And as you exhale, come into cat pose and hold. Flex for a couple extra breaths. Squeeze the block extra. Pull really from the pelvic floor in and up, but feeling and connecting into low belly, waistline, ribs. Push through your hands. Hard to breathe in here, but as you breathe out, you can tighten the core a little bit more as you flex in a little tighter. So we're going to do a lot of core strength work today because it's about, again, building up that connection around our center. So after your next exhale, with your next inhale, lift and move into cow now as a pose. First of all, feels good to take a deeper breath and hold for a moment here. Can you tighten the core even as you lift your tail and lift your head? So, as I said, feel how your breath moves. This is an important place of awareness. Right at the lower ribs is right where your diaphragm is. Because it's from that place that we elongate the spine, tailbone, top of head in two directions. And especially, I think, when we're in this extension of the spine, that lengthening can really help you to own each part of your spine and not feel like you're compressing one part, but using every part of your spine. You can soften the upper back more. As you elongate, can you feel still the tone front to back, even as you're working into that shape. So one more breath here. Then next I'll come back to neutral, the place in the middle, probably the most important place, right, to know where center is. Balanced in the curves, strong throughout. One more breath like this. Just keep elongating. Reach the tailbone, the top of the head, those two directions. Tighten in around your waist. All right. Remove the block. Come onto your back. And with your knees bent, lay on your back, knees bent, feet on the floor. And stretch your arms overhead. We'll move into windshield wiper. So separate your feet to the edges of the mat. Work those edges of the feet and lower both knees then over to the right. And just stay steady in the legs. You're not just laying down and resting, but keep pulling strength through the legs like you're squeezing a block. Tone that deepest waist like you were just practicing and pull the left ribs back. And you want to open the left shoulder a little bit there. As you reach from left knee to left hand. And with your inhale, bring it back up through center and both knees over to the left. Pull your waistline back on the right. Pull into that right shoulder blade. And again, stay strong in the leg. Just gives you some opening here through that left hip flexor. And pull your waistline back on, I'm sorry, that would be your right hip flexor. And pull your waistline back on the right. Stretch long, open up. All right, so come back up to center then. And again, take your block and press it between the thighs. Give it a squeeze there. And come to neutral spine. So we did this on hands and knees. Try to deepen your connection here by, you have the feedback of the ground. So hips are on the floor, low back curves in a little bit, but really knit in at your ribs, your navel, yes, and the lower belly. So this is important because here, this deepest core muscle, called the transverse abdominis, is what really helps to stabilize, especially when we're going towards our back bend shapes. So especially with an exhale, and you kind of push the breath more fully out, just tightening, tightening, tightening. Most of us have to pull the lower ribs in a little more without flattening the low back though. Can you do that here? Squeezing the block's going to help you to do that. It's going to help you to fire your pelvic floor and bring up like this whole cylinder of support that's in your legs, your pelvic floor, and even up all the way into your trunk. So feel that. Activate that. Pick your feet up off the floor and then hands to the fronts of the thighs. Abdominal bracing is a very simple, powerful abdominal strengthener. Push forward and up with your hands. Keep tightening that deepest layer all the way in. Elongate your spine and just even feel what happens there, even through your neck when you reach to the top of the head. So still at the low belly, still at the front ribs, keeping it all happening. But then as you elongate through the neck, you can lift your head a tiny little bit, maybe like 0.5 millimeter. There's even core muscles in the front of your neck that we want to keep connected. So then here, you lower the head for just a moment, but keep this all happening. And now take another breath, stay with it, but now flex upwards. Keep the neck at that same angle, right? So not going way up with your head, but certainly not leaving it behind you. Push into your hands and work it into connection here. Waistline back, widen those elbows apart. One more breath. And then lower it down and rest. All right, so walk those legs out long, stretch your arms overhead. Whew. So that was hard. I hope that was hard. It's like you want to really connect all the parts together with your mind, right? Become sovereign of our bodies with this self-reference, right? So we have to get in there. It's a process, right? We're never really done with that process, even as we continue to arrive more and more into ourselves ongoingly. So we'll do this again and we'll add in something. So just start with your feet on the floor, no block this time. Hips on the floor, again, tighten that deepest layer with a big exhale. Narrow, cinch around your waist. Again, pick your feet up. Again, bring your hands to the backs of those thighs and flex upwards. Notice the neck. Elongate through the back of the skull. Keep your chin a little bit tucked. Push into your hands. And you can bring the fingertips behind your head. And then we even start to twist again, crisscrossing. Left shoulder towards right knee. Come back to center with the inhale. Tighten that deepest layer and cross over. Try to keep your shoulder blades lifted off the floor. Cross over, come back to center as you inhale. So you can just barely tap, or some of you might even reach that leg out more towards straight, right? You can even have one foot on the floor the whole time to make it a little more supported. Just one more time each side and go again, make it super concentrated. Flex it upward as much as you can, twist from that place, right? So you're not just kind of rocking side to side. One more time towards that left, or whatever you do to do both sides. All right. Come down again and rest. Just bring soles of feet together, knees apart. Feel all of that strength and energy you just connected to, because this is going to be how we hold ourselves together in deep connection, even as we open ourselves up. So with that said, one last thing here. One more breath. And then bring your knees up. And so we're sort of passing through what we did on all fours, right? So we did neutral, we've done flex. Now we're going to do extension. So press into your feet. Keep those legs steady. And just like you want to do on hands and knees, we're going to lift the tailbone. In this case, you're pushing it into the ground. Right? So yes, the back arches. You want to lengthen the spine and arch your whole back. There's a set of muscles that move up your spine called multifidus. Think of it as a zipper. So start at the low back, move through your middle back, lowest back, middle back, and even, yes, there's those shoulder blades. So pull into the arms, those elbows, lift your chest, work those shoulder blades. And don't be afraid to go into this big, arc of your spine, just like you've done hands and knees. Some of you will keep this just lower down, just starting to explore and finding the strength of your back muscles in this way. You still tighten the front to support it. Some of you might feel comfortable pressing onto the back of your head, the sort of the crown area, and then the shoulders come off the floor slightly. So I call this upward cat. I'm sorry, a cow, right? The opposite of what we did before. So again, bring strength and awareness all the way the spine moves. One more breath, keep elongating through. And then lower carefully down, just as come back to your neutral spine from there. Maybe just scoot your hips a little further away. And then bring your legs up, one hand on top of each knee, and just press down into the backs of the hips, tractioning out your spine first, so that neutral spine, get tight through the waist, elongate, breathe. And then take your knees a little wider and up towards your shoulders, and you can draw a little tighter if you wish, and rock it out a little bit more. All right, just stretch it out a couple breaths, and we'll move on. So you either roll to one side, or you can rock and roll up from there into a seat and back into table pose. So let's come into table, and then you can come down onto your forearms. You can even clasp your hands just for good measure there. And find your neutral spine here. So his head's a little lower than the hips, but you're still just toning in at your low belly, your ribs, your throat back. And then here's off the wrist, so you get a little break there. But then lift your left leg up behind you. So elbow, it's called elbow tiger. Right? Here we're going to work the glutes and the hamstrings a little bit more. So squeeze your heel in towards your sit bone. Just keep squeezing like you got a block there. And then just start to press the foot up higher. So that, yes, you're feeling that activation. Hamstring, glutes, still keeping hips level. It's like not rolling out to the side this way just yet. Even notice the right hip, never pull that in a little tighter. So squeeze it in, and then just do 5 little presses up, keeping your navel in super strong. So really just focusing on the extension of the hip instead of going all the way through your spine. So about 5 of those. And then now take a circle out to the side, take the knee out to the side, and like a little fire hydrant lift. People on Facebook are having like a 10-day dog challenge. Here's your fire hydrant. Right, so turn your navel to the right. Try to keep your torso more level. And this is working those outer hips a little bit more. So now about 5 pulses there. Little flutters. Feeling those glutes activate. And their strength also makes us more connected in our hips, which also supports our core. All right, so circle it back to where you started. Knee pointing straight back, foot up. Lower that knee down and just shake it off. All right. Recenter the spine. Center yourself into what connects it all together. And even through the neck, right? And then second side, that right leg lifts up and just hold. So knee straight back, heel squeezing in, lifting up as high as it goes within that without losing your core. So lift your belly in, hold that steady, and then squeeze the heel a little tighter. Bring the knee a little higher without, again, losing that. And then just do 5 little pulses, little flutters, pressing up, keeping it steady through your trunk. Again, even the outer left hip has to hold in tight. Then take it out, circle out to the side and kind of towards your shoulder. You're going to untwist your torso, turn your belly back to the left, sort of like that windshield wiper move. Elongate your spine, working both hips, really, both outer hips. And again, flutter that right knee up about 5 times. And once we can align these muscles, bring them online, we then have them to use to then unfold ourselves with integration. All right, inhale, bring the knee back, just back to level, and lower that knee down. All right, lift up to table pose. Press your hands down evenly, and downward facing dog. Stretch it up and back. Oh yeah, hamstrings. So I did some version of that all day yesterday, and yeah, feeling hamstrings and glutes, that's great. Yogis are notorious for weak hamstrings. We stretch them a lot, but we don't strengthen them. So there you go. So bend your knees, center your spine, reach those hips up high, and then, yes, start to pedal it out, stretch out, right? So you get what you need here. Like I said, I give a lot of directions, so sometimes it's nice to get to do whatever you want for a moment. That's it. All right, so from there, look to the front of the mat and tiptoe slowly on your way forward. Press into your feet and arch up halfway with the inhale. Step your left foot back into a lunge. So you can be up on your fingertips here, or you can be Up on your blocks, right? Settling in here as you breathe. And do make sure that front foot is up between your hands. Like that's the alignment of the lunge. Knee is over the ankle, right? And balanced in that alignment there. So drag the feet towards each other. Feel all that strength you just activated in your legs. Pressing the back thigh higher. And as you firm the right hip in, bend a little deeper into your front knee. And with that, step forward. Arch up with the inhale. Right foot steps back with your exhale. You can just check the placement. Sorry, this blood on my mat, trying off my mat. There you go. That front foot up between the hands, up on your fingertips. And you can make sure that knee is over the ankle. Breathing. Let the breath keep you in this self-reference, as well as you're sourcing also from your power, right, to move and explore and being lining where you are today and into what's possible from there today. So you can step to the front and arch up with your inhale. Step to plank pose with your exhale. So plank, knees can be down or up. So, you know, I'm intending this as an all levels practice, right? So you can moderate any time, and I'll give you ways hopefully to moderate intensity, you know, the sort of pace. A lot of times it's going to be just different stages of poses to be in. So in plank, use those strong hands, and either way, lift your thighs, inner thighs especially, and now again, center the spine, tighten your belly, your waistline, slide your throat back, firm at the glutes. Notice the neck especially. Can you slide the throat back and keep everything in alignment? One more breath. And lower down onto your front, like a push-up, so knees down or up, push, and lower down as you draw the shoulders back. All right, so reach the legs long behind you. Now take your arms by your sides. Start to curl up, chest up, head up into locust. And so press into the tops of the feet, squeeze in strong there. Narrow out your belly and your ribs, slide the throat back. We did that on our backs, that back strengthener. So can you start to press the arm bones back and curl up maybe a little higher? But notice what's happening here. Keep your chin a little tucked so you stay connected in your throat, right? You're not just flinging your head way back. That would disconnect you from your center, right? So chin stays a little bit down, but you're lifting your chest to meet that. So stay here. Option to interlace your fingers behind your hips. Use a strap between your hands. You can also lift your leg. It's kind of the opposite of plank pose, right? So turn to the center, elongate through, one more big breath. And then lower down. In fact, as you lower down, make a pillow under your head with your arms. Soften down, breathe into your belly. Breathe into those low ribs. Connecting to your breath in just a deep way, in your own presence. That's ultimately your sovereignty there, right? All right, so hands on the floor, and we'll push up and back, downward facing dog. Just take a few breaths here. It's a lot of warm-ups, and we'll start to move a little bit more with all that connection that we made with that, right? Just press through your hands, reach your hips up and back. And now look to the front with your heels high, hips high, tiptoe on your way forward, hopping anytime as you wish. Arch up with your inhale. Fold forward with your exhale. And again, arch up with your inhale. Bend your knees, hands on thighs, pushing against your thighs with your hands as you lengthen your spine. It's a nice way to just build awareness in this transition. Centering the spine always. Just sovereignty as you hold your center, holding that nice long spine even through your throat. And push into your feet and stand with your inhale, reaching up. Exhale, lower the arms. So then here, balance on your right foot and bend your left leg up. Pause. So find your balance here. We worked our core muscles, center around your spine, the standing leg, top of the thigh back, and firm that left hip in. From here, we step into a lunge. So squeeze, bring the heel closer to the hip, step it back carefully. Maybe do a short step and then sort of shimmy back. Some of you will just reach back and take a full step. Hands on your front knee. Now in a lunge in a higher position, right? Press the back thigh higher. Firm that right hip in, right? And even push the knee out to the right more as you bend into the front knee a little deeper. And again, elongate the spine, stretch it out. Take a breath here. We'll touch down both hands, step to plank pose. Take a breath as you tighten your center and lower down onto your front. Reach those legs long, but again, can you, by lengthening your spine, tone in front to back, cobra pose. So press those arm bones back, sweep the hands back, curling forward and up. Downward facing dog, stretch up and back. So full breath here, opening it up. Look to the front, heels high, tiptoe, or hop your feet. And arch up with your inhale. Fold with your exhale. And head up and chest up, this time all the way up. So if you need to bend the knees to elongate the spine, please do. If you can come up with straight legs, great, you can do that well, go for it. Exhale, lower the arms and press into your left foot, bend your right leg up, pause for a moment here. So pull in the center on your steadiness, narrow your waist, firm outer hips, it'll help you to balance a lot. So bring that right heel closer in and then go stepping back through, again, maybe a little half step and then shimmy, or some of you will reach back all the way. That's it. So hands on that front knee, breathing fully. You can drag the feet towards each other, activate that strength from feet to hips, in the right thigh back, left hip tightening. That's a big, important movement there. Left hip tightening as you firm your core. So bend a little deeper in the front knee, lift your chest a little higher. Again, take a breath. Exhale, touch down both hands, plank pose. Take a breath as you gather in the center, tighten through the middle, and lower down. Keeping your head balanced, right, with the rest of your spine. Can you do that in the transition? Cobra pose. Or even upward dog if that's in your practice, right? But as you come into cobra, let's hold this one, having done both sides of our lunges. Again, belly strong, ribs strong. Slide your throat back. Be in your center, be in your sovereign center, no matter how high you're lifting. Downward facing dog, and certainly don't lift past, right? Where you break, where you lose your center. We're not, again, bending ourselves for the poses. We are wielding the poses to reclaim, again, our sovereignty. So look to the front, heels high, hips high, tiptoe, or again, a light hop. Those of you have that, arch up with the inhale, fold with your exhale, rise with your inhale all the way up. Exhale, lower the arms, and balancing again on your right foot, lift your left leg up, squeeze the heel towards your sit bone. And this time, step it back, and then swivel both feet, right? And with that hinge from your hips, touch down both hands. And strong feet to hips, bring a little bend to your knees, bend a little more into the left knee. And then come back to center with the inhale, bend a little more to the right knee. So yeah, stretching through hips and legs. What this also gives us is strengthening up from feet to hips through those inseams, which is a part of how, also again, how we center. Think of a big block. You're squeezing a really big block. And just getting a more active sense of how you're using your feet and your legs to move in your pelvis. And can you hold your center here as you go side to side? Keep elongating through. So the next time you bend to your right knee, bend. And then, actually, you know what? I changed my mind. Let's do this. Come back to center. So one more time into, yes, both knees bent evenly. Hands on hips. Rise up with the inhale. And then we'll pivot. So turn the right foot carefully forward. Spin the left heel up. And this time we'll lower, drag the feet towards each other, lower the left knee down slowly. And you feel the strength you have to use to lower with that connection. All right, so drag the feet towards each other, spinning the left inner thigh back, firming that right hip in. And hands on hips, start to lift up more, getting that space, that opening there. That's it. So scissor the middle, keep lifting, and you start to lift the chest more. Can you get narrow through the center? Can you stay at your center front to back, even at the throat as you lift? And keep hands on hips, or with an inhale, reach overhead. Bend a little deeper into the front knee as you open up. Full breath here. Exhale, touch down. So you can either step right to down dog, or move through your plank and your chaturanga. That's one way to really modify your intensity, is just skip so many vinyasas, maybe do like every other one, because the cobra is actually part of our sequence. So you can get that in. All right, downward facing dog. And look to the front. Your heels high, hips high, tiptoe, light hop. Arch up with the inhale. Fold with your exhale. Head up and chest up, rise with your inhale. Exhale, lower the arms. Press into your left foot. Bend the right leg up. Hands on hips, squeeze the right heel to the sit bone and step it back. into your lunge. Pause here. We're going to first do that pose we just did. So lower slowly down. So keep pulling strength into center, centering the spine. Hold that strong connection. Hands on hips. And we've lowered that knee down. Of course, put a little blanket under that knee if you need some support. You're still working those legs strong. So hands on hips and lift, lengthening from hips to armpits. We've been working this head, arm, bone back, shoulder blade strong connection as you bend into the front knee. So stay with hands on hips, grounding down, lifting up, or again with your inhale, reach overhead. Exhale, bend a little deeper into that front knee as you open up. Full breath in. So we're going to add here though, right? So touch down both hands, lift your back knee up, and let's pivot around the other way. So feet parallel, and hands on hips, chest up, head up, and rise up with your inhale. That's it. Turn your right foot open to the right, left foot parallel or slightly turned in, and open those arms with your inhale. Side angle pose, bend into your right knee, forearm on your thigh, and stretch that left arm past the ear. So simple, another simple standing posture. Let it serve to again strengthen your legs, right? So drag the feet towards each other, that strength up the inseams, feeling how that feeds into, again, your center there. Thighs back, we say, and then tone your belly in that same way, front to back, in and up a little bit, and almost like you're twisting a little bit to the left there as you open the knee to the right. Reaching the left arm past the ear as you bend into that knee, just also make this space, drawing the rib cage out of the hips to help you unfold that space more. All right, back up with your inhale, feet to parallel, and then over to the left. Your left hip, foot and leg open, right foot parallel or slightly turned in. Exhale into that knee and top arm past the ear, side angle pose. Settle into your feet and just, again, self-reference, checking that you have that lined up where you want it, and also coming back to your breath. Bring your attention back again and again to what's really happening for you. What's this process for you right now? And getting what you need from that. So drag the feet towards each other, thighs back, tone your belly, tone even a little bit more from left to right as you turn more open. And yes, that left hip strong, we work those glutes. This also helps this kind of work to open that knee to the left. Sink into that thigh, draw the torso out of the hips, and again, elongate your spine as you keep breathing in, breathing out, opening into it. All right, so push into both feet. Come back up with your inhale. Feet straight ahead, pause. So really line up your feet parallel. Keep your arms out by your sides like so. We're going to bend to just a slight bend to your knees and drag the heels back. Start to tip forward from your hips, halfway down. Right? Can you hold this here halfway down? If you can't, put fingertips slightly on the floor or put a block there. But holding, this is making you use those hamstrings firm into your hips. Again, center your spine with your tailbone straight back, top of the head forward. Knit around the waist. Keep it all happening. That's it. So from here, touch down just halfway, just still hold there. And there's simple transition, pivot to the left just to pass through. And again, step to plank. And then move through. So I do recommend if you have the energy, do at least one of these. So again, Cobra is one of our prep poses. So stretch your leg long. You can tone belly, ribs in. Start to really curl up, chest up, head up. And just connect to your sovereignty here, firm in with the legs so you feel that strength supporting your back, your core. You have to lift your belly. That low belly is ribs. Slide your throat back. All right. Downward facing dog. Stretch it up and back. So let's take several breaths in down dog. You can also here take several breaths in child's pose. I need to crack a window open. It's getting warm in here. So take a few breaths. Just come back to yourself. Recharge a little bit if you're needing to. Take a few breaths to settle. Honoring what that is for you. So this is a way to moderate your intensity if you need that. Okay. And then back into your downward facing dog when you're ready. We'll have another little standing sequence here. So center your spine in your down dog, tone your abdomen. Then right leg up with your inhale, lift it up slowly. Keep the hips level, hold the center, right? And exhale, step that foot up between your hands. And with an inhale, lift up hands on hips. So lifting up higher here, that's it. Drawing strong, front to back, left to right. And with an inhale, reach the arms overhead. So again, pull in at belly, ribs, and throat, stretch up and open a little bit more. And once again, we'll lower the back knee down, so we're continuing to build that strength. From here, move to cactus arms, which that bend of the elbows will help you to activate your shoulder blades a little bit more. Keep, we say, squaring the hips. This really work with inner left thigh back, right hip tightening. And from here, come out of the back bend a little bit and start to twist to the right. Twist to the right. So here's another way we move our spines, right, in rotation. So twist to the right, using your core muscles to minimize the arms. They want to do a lot of the movement here. Turn at your waist. Turn at your waist. In first position, just bring your left hand down to right knee and the right hand down into the hips. You can push the knee to the right, stay more upright in the spine, and twisting from there. Or some of you may wish to bring your elbow to the outside of the knee, maybe the right hand on top of the left, maybe even lifting that back knee up. So again, push the knee to the right, push the arm or the hand into the knee, but center your spine. In the twist, we typically go way off center with our neck. So slide your throat back, balance the alignment, tailbone top of head. Try to have that conversation through your center. Tailbone top of head aligned to the middle, and then a little deeper into the right knee. All right, so inhale, untwist. Step to down dog or plank vinyasa. So again, moderate your intensity, either right to down dog or flow through this first one. We'll spend more time on the second one. If you think logically, that's the one to work on because you've done two sides of the body together. Left leg up with your inhale, and step that foot up between your hands with the exhale. Steady your legs, hands on hips, breathe. Self-reference always in your breath and just how you're bringing your attention back to yourself. Present to what's arising. So bend a little deeper into that front knee as you tone the core, elongate through your spine. Stretch overhead if you're adding that in with your inhale. And you will lower slowly down, the slow descent. We really build up a lot of strength to our center. So take a breath as you again, narrow the waist and lift up. Exhale into your cactus arms, drawing into your shoulder blades. And so we can get more lift here, and that's good to feel, but actually back off of that can go from extension again back to neutral, and from your neutral spine start to twist. So when we twist, we have to, that hip we're twisting towards, pull a little tighter, bend deeper then into that knee, and you pull your ribs in, slide your throat back, so you're really holding center here. As you twist, squeeze in with your back leg more. So maybe you do hand, outer knee, other hand on the hip, great way to work the twist. Maybe bring the elbow around and even just keeping it on the hip or stack the hand there. If you lifted your back knee, you can add that in. Center your spine. So we often go way off center with our head. Slide your throat back. Whoops. Slide your throat back and balance tailbone top of head. Use your core to connect to all of that. Keep pushing that knee to the left. Leveraging a more open twist with that. All right, so inhale, untwist. Pause with that exhale. Again, the second vinyasa. If you're taking one, that's the one to do. Lower down, and again, working into pigeon. So, cobra. Stretch your legs. Tone your belly, scave it away. Curl up, chest up, head up. Sweep the hands back. Stay centered, belly in, ribs in. Okay, lower it down. And downward facing dog. Stretch it up and back. Take a breath. We have one more standing sequence, kind of putting together what we've done so far dynamically and adding one more piece. All right, so inhale, lift your right leg slowly up. Exhale, step the foot between your hands. Hands on hips, and now here we're going to step forward and lift the left knee up. Right, so you may have to shorten your stance first, that would be fine. Or some of you will do the big step, right, forward and up, find your balance. This next one, we're going to take it into a standing quad stretch, so find a wall if you need to. Put a hand on a wall, or maybe your couch is right there to grab onto. So squeeze the heel towards the hip, use that strong hamstring connection. Reach down, even try to find that ankle, squeeze it in more, and just bring it into a quad stretch. We're not going to go back and up yet, right? Squeeze to the middle with your legs. Work those edges of your feet. And you're just taking that quad stretch. Try to line up your thighs, and especially quads are tight, so you have to lift your belly in and up. You have to tighten those glutes more forward without tucking. Be sovereign over that, because tucking your pelvis under is going to block your spine, it's going to block the flow. But you can keep a neutral spine, but really activate your abdominals and your glutes. And then you're sovereign in that way. Right, so keep grounding straight down. The other hand on the hip, you can push straight down and lift your torso up. All right, so then we're going to step back the way we came. So just release that foot and step it back, touch it down, go right to down dog or through a vinyasa. We have like 2 more of those to go. So if you want to keep going with that, 1 more there. And then left leg up with your inhale. Exhale, step between your hands. Hands on hips, steady, pull to the middle. That'll help you to balance. Also the strong outer hips. So press into that left foot, pull yourself forward, right knee up, hold the center and grab onto something to help you to balance, and then squeeze the heel to the sit bone. You're gonna reach down with your hand to ankle or foot and try to close the knee, we say, and then bring the knee back if possible, right? You try to line up your thighs, pull into the center, channel that strength through your middle. Integrate it, belly and ribs, especially that lower belly. Again, we tend to be a little weaker there, tighten our quads. So pull the belly in, firm those hips to support. The other hand on the hip, you can just push down and lift straight up from there. Even notice the head. It's so easy for our head to go off center, isn't it? Right? Physically and in our mental life, right? So pull your throat back and connect your mind to your heart, your mind to your center of consciousness. Be sovereign in that way. All right, so free that foot and bend your left leg, step it back to just last vinyasa, right? So just touch it down, either go through plank, or, again, you can lower down and rest, but let's even try again another cobra. Each cobra should get, feel more connected. It doesn't matter how you lift. You're not subjugating yourself to the pose. You are deepening your connection to yourself through your exploration of the poses. So firm your hips, tone that low belly. Again, very easy to drop the belly down, your belly in. And then can you move more strength through your upper back, forward and up? Is your head connected to your heart? Or is it flipped way back, looking elsewhere? All right, lower down. Push up and back, downward facing dog, and then just go right away into back it up, Uttanasana. So root, walk your hands back, root the legs, go nice and slow. Let's take a few extra breaths here, So spread your toes, press on the balls of your feet. Tone your belly. You need to bend your knees to get more tip from your hips. That would be wise, a good way of working here. You're still cinching those hips in and toning your belly to support. Hang your head down for a few moments. Soften your face. So push down into your feet and lift your chest and head. Hands on hips, rise up with the inhale. So we have our first Raja pose coming up here. Natarajasana, queen dancer, or king dancer. You can choose whatever way you like to think about that. There's got to be some gender neutral version of being a sovereign dancer. How about that? Okay, so balancing on your right foot, bend your left leg in, right? Tighten through the center. So you can stay here. Here again, the quad stretch, you could stay here. Or dancers, when we start to hinge at the hip and tip forward and kicking that foot back and up. Depending on how far you go, you can even just have the other arm by your side like a locust, right? Eventually, perhaps reaching the arm overhead. So keep scissoring the middle, make it about staying more level with your hips. So usually we tend to twist off to the side, roll that left inner thigh more up, but firm the right hip and core way more than you think. If you're going farther into it, switching the hand to the inner edge of the foot will open that shoulder more, but you're still doing all the same work. You're going to firm that right hip in, tone your abdomen to keep yourself more centered, straight ahead, right? So you have to turn almost a little bit left to right there, with the outer left hip joining you. Hinging as much as that goes for you. All right, come up slowly with the inhale. That's it. Lower that foot down. Take a breath here. All right, so balancing then on your left foot, bend the right leg up. Again, your option is stay and do another standing quad stretch. That is no small thing. If you're very tight here and you want to do more back bends, it's like you got to work that out. You got to get that stretched out, or otherwise you're going to feel your low back a lot in your back bends, right? So maybe that's where you need to be today. Awesome. So stay here or start to, as you hinge from the left hip, but you have to work so tight in, keeping your abdomen strong, even as now you're moving towards that back bend shape, more towards cow pose, right? So you might want to hold that inner edge of the foot instead, You can experiment with that. That will open your shoulder more. Our left arm can be by your side or in front of you, or eventually reaching more overhead, right? Yes, you have to roll the right hip down, but do that from your strength of your left hip. Center the trunk, square more straight ahead. Keep reaching through, elongate through, keep the foot back and up more, use those hamstrings, glutes. Can you do little flutters? You don't have to do that, I'm just sort of joking. Okay, come back up slowly. All right. So balance, feet hips width, just pause, take a breath. Natarajasana. Right, sovereign over this cosmic dance. Inhale, stretch your arms overhead. Exhale, fold from your hips. Bend your knees. We're skipping the forward fold. We're going right into downward facing dog. So walk forward. So that was one of our Raja poses, and now we're moving into Raja Kapotasana, prep stage. So inhale, lift your right leg up. Kapotasana, Kapotasana, I should say, one-legged. So bring the right knee forward. Or pigeon, but pigeon is a back bend. So we're not pointing, we're not bringing the foot way out. If you can see, my foot is pointed pretty straight back, parked under my left hip. So this is the English, is one-legged queen pigeon pose. Stage one, right? There's four versions of it. And really the preparation, we're not gonna, some of you, okay, I know some of you are saying hello in your practice here. If you want to, reach back and get the foot, we haven't done so much to open up our arms that way, but if that's something you do, you're welcome to give that a shot. Otherwise, we're just gonna stay here and work the pigeon chest, right? So squeeze in with your back leg, roll that inner thigh up to the sky, really dragging both knees towards each other so you can fire that left hip more. I'm sorry, right hip, your front hip. And again, it's like your cobra. So some of you will be lower down and you're toning through your center and you're lifting your chest. Awesome. It's a great hip flexor stretch. That progression is to just walk your hands back further, right? To get more vertical in your chest. But from connection, pull in front to back, even the ribs strong, the throat back, not flipping way back. Stretching in two directions and folding yourself in a balanced way. Just see how far that goes. This is prep. Right, so first, that's where you, how far you want to go anyway, if you are one to reach back and take your foot, okay? So from there, downward facing dog. Left leg up at the inhale. Bring that knee forward. And settle in. So you notice that really, that foot's close in, or more on the top of the foot. Pointing straight back, sharp on the edge of the foot though, as they settle in, of course breathing. Scissor in with your legs, drag in so you connect up into your center. But hold steady, you're building up, you're still working on where do I need to connect more for this to feel integrated, so I feel like I'm not breaking past, where that, where I feel the integrity of my wholeness, right, of the body. So some of you will be further out in front, and you're tightening the glutes and the core, and you're starting to really lift your chest more. It's great. Some of you are backing up further, and you're thinking, okay, how can I unfold myself more? Rooting down, so pull in and up, but also push back down. As you bend more, still pull belly and ribs in, throat back. Unfolding, keeping your chin tucked. Enough to where, yes, you're lifting your face with your heart, but not past. Here's where you could, some of you go towards holding that foot. All right, downward facing dog. That would be a whole other thing to teach you that. You have a whole lot more to work on. Under the arm, that is. So stretch it out in your down dog to just lengthen your spine. And we have one more Raja pose. That was one-legged queen pigeon. And then we have queen pigeon. So like this, and you may wish to watch this first one. So you'll come forward onto a plank on the tops of your feet. And then what that gives you is really strong legs and working through the core like we've been working. And then you can do this like wave-like thing, drop down into your back bend. You sometimes get more lift with that. Then you keep it happening. Try backing your hands up a little more. Notice my pelvis is up off the floor. That's okay. Right, because the idea here is squeeze your legs, tone your belly, all the things. We're going to bend your elbows and try to work those arm bones back and into those shoulder blades. Then, so you could even be like, come on, beyond here, maybe I'll try up dog, see what that feels like. Or, with knees on the floor, you start to lower your pelvis back down again and you squeeze the heels in. And then from there, melting the heart and curling back, trying to get your feet to your head. So that's King Pigeon, Raja Kapotasana. So I showed you, and then maybe you're trying it also. Let me talk you through it again. So that's one way of coming into it. So you can try that. You can also try it from the bottom up. It's kind of cool. I saw myself on the screen there, and I did this yesterday in my classes, and I didn't get nearly that close with my feet to my head. Not that that's the goal, but for me, I know that's somewhat of a possibility. But I'm more interested, because I bent, I've been doing yoga for over 20 years now, and for a long time, I'm very bendy. You may have noticed that. And I would bend past where I was connected. So it's so great for me that I feel so integrated, and I'm really bending in a way that's connected and not about how far can I make this shape happen, but how deeply in my connection can I stay and then still offer myself, right? Okay, so try it from top down or from bottom up. It's either way. You gotta be so strong in your legs, so strong in your core, but not so strong that you don't bend and open, right? So it's like cobra, but hands further back. So one thing you can just try is how far back can you take your hands to get more vertical in your sternum? As long as that's feeling connected. Don't worry about it right now if you're way up high off of your hips, right? So just play with that. Explore that. So squeeze your legs strong, belly and glutes. Lift your chest, throw it back. And some of you might feel like, man, maybe what would happen if there's those strong hamstrings, squeeze the heels in. But then you have to, it's interesting. It's like all this connection, there's like a softening. Pelvis back down, throat stays back, melting the heart. And yeah, bring those heels in super tight. All right, so give it your best. That's a big engagement. And again, a more fully integrated cobra pose, if that's where you're choosing to stay today. Awesome, right? How often do we do cobra in our yoga practice, right? So learning about that. And just take a moment, come down and rest. You can fold your arms under your head. Take a moment to just breathe, to slow down, explore a lot. There's no end to the technique we can work with that ultimately reveals a greater knowledge of ourselves. Just also feel the process you're moving through, right? Poses, whatever we do, it's ultimately like, how is this process facilitating you coming into a greater truth and awareness of yourself right now, right? All right, so downward facing dog. That's going to stretch you out in a very needed way, right? So press down in your hands. Ooh, reach those hips up and back. Feel my hamstrings a lot. It's good. So stretch it out, open it up. Okay. So come down then into a child's pose. You can choose knees together, knees a little wider apart. Just sit your hips to your heels and just take a few breaths here. This, of course, will stretch out your back more. Keep a little tone in your belly to support that. As you ground your hips back and down. All right, so from there, help yourself through a seat and onto your back. Oh, looks like we're going to go past an hour once again. I think maybe I should just make this time with you all a little longer than an hour. That's what I'm thinking. I hate rushing. It always takes more than an hour, usually. All right, so hips on the floor, tone your center. That is if you're teaching yoga. All right, so anyway, we'll talk about that later in the comments. Hips on the floor, tighten your core, and keep that as you bend the right leg up. Interlace the fingers behind the thigh and push into your hands. So make this first about, you can start to stretch that leg towards straight. First about keeping hips level and your spine super long. This will reset your back and your hips after that big extension, right? So pull in strong through your center, push into your hands, lengthen your spine in that same way. You can stay here, or your option to flex upwards like we did at the beginning, including your pelvis and your chest, and then you can start to walk the leg in more. And maybe you can hold the higher leg and you're holding your foot. Maybe you bring one hand behind your head for extra support, the right hand probably there. Or I guess either one's fine. And just round in and stretch a little bit more after all of that. Keep those hips level, switch that right hip tacking back. Tighten the kneecap up. Even if your knee is a little bent there, just make the leg strong. So you're not just passively stretching in here. All right, lower down. Take a breath. And then steady your legs, your hips, your core, bend your left leg up. Interlace your fingers, push into your hands, and stretch from there. So that alone, it is going to be a big hamstring stretch. I'm feeling that a lot here. I hope you're feeling your hamstrings worked hard today. That would be a good thing. So level the hips, elongate your spine, breathe. And you can stay here the whole time. Nice place to release the back and just balance yourself out. Or take a breath with the exhale, flex upwards at pelvis and trunk. Keep your throat back, and maybe you start to walk higher to calf or to that foot. Maybe one hand comes behind your head, right? And drawing it a little tighter. Yes, it'll stretch more deeply, all the parts. Breathing in, breathing out. All right, lower down from there, and both feet on the floor. Now cross your right ankle over the knee, and kind of do the same thing. Work the edge of the foot towards the leg, press forward, but tone your center as you float the left leg up. And now interlace the fingers behind that thigh into the shin, or to the shin, right? Push into your hands, level the hips and tone the core, similarly. And then similarly as well, you can pull in a little tighter, and hips roll up. You don't have to lift your chest and head for this one, but just the hips might roll up a little bit more. As you pull in tighter, much needed stretch as well. You work also those glutes tremendously. So breathing here as you stretch out what we deeply activated to connect. We're just then smoothing things out, coming back to a greater, let's say, homeostasis after that work. And then lower it down from there and switch. Cross that left ankle over, push ankle into knee, tone your center. And you can push in the arms, use your abdominals to flex upwards. I'm sorry, yeah, at the hips anyway, right? And then hold on behind the thighs or the shin. Push into your hands. So we try to start with grounded hips, level hips, centered, strong core, and then option to roll the hips up a little higher as you pull a little tighter. That shin towards your chest. Breathing in, breathing out. Opening into it. And lower down from there. So from there, take both legs up. Start by pressing down into the backs of the hips. And then take the knees wider, neck towards your shoulders, and even up into a happy baby. Right, so stretch out those inner legs a little bit more. Same thing, try to use your strong legs to press the hips back down, lengthen your spine. You can even stretch your legs out wider if you wish. Maybe with that, again, holding thighs or calves. Here you do want to try to keep a neutral spine, so hips on the floor, nice long spine. And from happy baby, trying to maintain that, but it's likely you'll round your back a little more in happy baby, that would be fine. All right. And hug your knees in, either roll to one side or rock and roll up, and however you need to get there, come into standing forward folds. Swing your legs around or rock over your feet. And from here, we'll add in a hanging twist. So it'll be our twist after practice. So bend your knees enough to where your torso is pretty close to your legs, but you want your legs to be strong and lift your core. So firmly lift the legs, hang from your hips. Then take your left hand to the outer right shin. Let that even steady your legs more, and then hang and pull your belly to the right. Work the legs, and as you're pulling your belly to the right, think about the whole left side of your back kind of widening out to the left. Even slide the shoulder blades a little bit up the back, hang your head down. And so kind of unravel those back muscles a little bit more. The more you steady your legs, and if you can stretch your legs straight, go ahead, push into your feet and push those thighs back. That'll clear the back well. So second side, come back to center, and then right hand comes to outer left shin. Stabilize your shins, lift your belly, pull your belly to the left, but you're also centered by pulling your left ribs in and that whole right side of the spine widening out, kind of draping down. The more you stay super steady and wavering your legs, the more you get that clearing release. So keep breathing in, breathing out, rooting the legs, hanging the spine, twisting the spine. Right, come back to center. Then we'll lower down to a seat. Some of you might do well just bending those knees and coming on down that way. And let's actually sit for a moment. We'll rest. Yeah, I think we'll do this. We'll do it this way. finish with a little seated meditation. And then since we've gone past an hour, I'll let you all, Shavasana will be your homework, right? Coming into your seat here and sit on some height. And widen those sit bones back and apart so that, again, the low back curves in just enough. And this is you setting your posture up in a way that you're sitting just in a natural way in your center. Having done that practice, again, we did so much spine-centered awareness and strengthening, right? So maybe you feel a lot more connected, just naturally. So you elongate through your tailbone, top of the head, throat slides back just enough. And this is a major place of your sense of pulling and drawing into yourself and into that, the dignity of your own experience, referencing yourself. Just take a few moments with your gaze soft, your eyes closed, that gesture of continued inner awareness, with even long breaths in and even long breaths out. This, again, this posture of meditation, this quintessential posture of sovereignty, where the outer form is in reference to this inner support. The way our attention flows outward, and it's going to, right? There's all of life to be experienced and lived, but here it's aligned to the inner pull of attention as well. Again, that's meditation. That's what we do in meditation, and that's what we're doing here. Right, just in this very natural way from our practice. So you sit in the really regal nature of your being. And of course we all have our stuff, and we might argue with whether or not we have there's a regal nature to our being, but it's actually self-evident. So when you experience that, just the truth that's there, the truth that is real to you. Whether it's an immediate truth that's passing and evolving, of course, or it's this deepest truth, who you are. That I am consciousness that is unchanging, infinitely stable, infinitely creative. Beautiful to feel in our seated posture that when it's really about, so yes, line yourself up, but then be as effortless as you can be, and in fact soften, yield into just what shows up as a presence, that presence within you. You're reclaiming yourself, pulling back away from anything you've attached it to, right? Any way you've given it away. And just by pulling into your center and really then softening, feeling that inner support. Again, yoga is a process. Yoga is the process, it's the practices. And this state of yoga, Raja yoga, this sovereignty is, yes, we arrive again. Maybe at some point there is a final kind of abiding that eventually happens, though I think we all know we in a regular way come to our practices to maintain, to reclaim and maintain what we've reclaimed again and again. To sovereignty. This is sovereignty, right? All this and more, always. So, I invite you to linger here. Really, this is a way that we do integrate our practice. Obviously, it's so nice to rest, to do Shavasana. But really, a meditation after practice as well can be a way of integrating. So at this point, I invite you to, take your time. If you want to stretch out over your back and rest, that would be beautiful. Otherwise, we can bring it to a close this way. And if you're ready to, just bring your hands to touch. Thank you all for joining me here. This strange and transformational, challenging time. We're all going through so much. It's To be able to remain sovereign in our experience means we can respond and move in a conscious way towards where we want to be, even as it means we have to plunge through some very, very difficult, sometimes challenging emotions along the way. We are ultimately whole unto ourselves. There's a dignity, even in the truth sometimes of our pain, as much as the truth of our hope and our joy. So thank you all for joining me. If we can chat more in the comments even after I end the video, but just for the sake of the conciseness of the video, I'll bring it to a close. So rest. Please keep resting as long as you like. Otherwise, close here again, bow your head to your heart. Our sovereign hearts. Namaste.